Hello guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time Toy Fair 2020 is going on right now and we've got a lot of Transformers reveals. Technically a lot of this stuff also came from Walmart.com and a lot of this stuff I've already talked about in previous videos, but we have high def images, we have a lot of images of different modes, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm not going to talk about every single thing like the Battle Call toys, we've already talked about that in a previous video. I'm just going to talk about the stuff that we could really see and all the different modes and whatnot. And we're going to talk about a lot of toys. We're going to talk about Cyberverse. We're going to talk about Earthrise. We're going to talk about the new Netflix stuff. We're going to talk about Studio Series. So I'm going to start off with the Cyberverse Deluxe Grimlock, which someone has spotted in stores, so technically you can get it right now somewhere in the world. Anyways, I think that the Dynamo looks alright. I don't like that the fists are right there. I don't know if they're supposed to fold up further than that and they just didn't get it with the render, but it looks weird. I do like the flame coming out of the mouth, and it's got a crown that I hope is detachable because it just looks really awkward on that head. I'm not into it. Maybe if it was all pure gold, but it just looks kind of weird. I know that Grimlock apparently has a crown in the show, but it just looks strange on the Dino mode. I don't know. Other than that, I do like it. I like the rockets on the shoulders. I think that's a nice touch. But, yeah, not much to say. In the robot mode, there's something about the head that I'm not into. I don't know why. There's just something really strange about the mouth and the face section. I think the helmet is fine. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think the rest of the Dino mode looks robot mode looks really good. You also have ankle tilt this time. So, yay! More of that Generations articulation going into these toys, so that's good. I think that overall the paintwork is good. You know, you got the yellow on the chest, you got the red down below. I think that overall, you know, it looks decent. The Hot Rod figure, I'm not sure how I feel I'm not sure how I feel about with the alt mode. It just looks a little too boxy and, I don't know, too large, but it's got this sleekness to it that I kind of like. I like the spoiler on the back. I don't know if that's just me. And the pipes on the side, you know, that's classic Hot Rod. So I think overall it looks pretty good. I like the Autobot symbol in yellow at the top. Hopefully we could get a black version that was seen in the show that kind of references one of the older Hot Rod toys. And in robot mode, I don't like the panels on the side. I wish they could fold in or something. That's pretty much the only thing that really kills it for me. That, and I feel like he's got too much going on the backpack. I can see that some of the kibble for the alt mode goes into the leg at the very least, so it's not all slapped on the back. And I do like the wings that go up, you know, the classic Hot Rod wings. I think the face sculpt looks nice. I think the paintwork is okay, but I think they could have gone better with this. I do like the flame effects, but it doesn't look like it's really coming out of the pipes. It looks like it's coming from the side of the pipes, but I think that's just how it's attached, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. Overall, not my favorite of the deluxe figures, but I'm not going to say it's bad. And the RC in the alt mode, we've talked about this in a previous video. I think that in alt mode it looks decent. I do like the Generations Earthrise alt mode a little bit better, but this one looks a little more clean and consistent. It doesn't have the legs sticking out on the side that is meant to be part of the alt mode, even though it's kind of obvious that it's just the legs. So, I do like the car mode. I just really got into that classic design that the Earthrise figure did, but I think the paintwork is a lot better here. You got blue in the lights, you actually have gray on the front, so pretty decent. And in robot mode, I really do like this. I think the design is nice. You got the flare effects that can attach to the guns. You have ankle tilt this time around, which the Earthrise one apparently didn't even have. And yeah, it's got some stuff going on the back, but I think overall the actual robot looks pretty good. I like the detail work on it. It's a little different compared to the original RC, but I think they did a pretty good job with it, so I like this. I like the fact that RC is getting a little more notice. The next figure I want to take a look at, if I can find the image for it, is Slitherfang, and I can't find much about it with the stock images, but there are more images at the booth where you can actually see Slitherfang, and I think that in snake mode it looks pretty good. Apparently it's one of the designs that was actually made by John Warden, so that's pretty cool. In the base shield, platform mode, I think it looks pretty good. I like the transparent purple. That's a nice touch. And the blast effect actually looks pretty good this time around. And it also looks like his head is poking at the bottom. That might just be me, but I think that's a nice touch. Overall, I do like it. Moving right along, we also have a MicroMaster pack, but this is for the Selects line. So with this MicroMaster pack, we get, if I can find the name, Rumble, which is kind of weird because it should be Frenzy, because I think the other pack had Frenzy, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of confusing, but it's the blue version, whatever you want to call it. We also get Wing Thing, which I believe is the orange one, and we get Scar and Nog. Now, Scar and Nog are apparently references to two figures that came with the original Double Dealers. So I think that's pretty cool, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. Essentially, this pack has two of the same figures. So you get two Rat-Bat molds and you get two Rumble molds. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I wish that they did something a little bit different here, but I'm not going to complain too much about it. I think that this is an interesting pack. I do like the colors of Rumble. I do like the colors on Wing Thing. It's the other two that I'm not sure about. I kind of like the purple and yellow, but I don't think it really blends well. And the other figure, I get what they're going for, but there's something about it that just looks a little too inconsistent. I'm not sure how I feel about the silver and blue and red. It's just kind of all over the place. But this is a Selects figure. I do really like the packaging for this Selects pack. I think that's nice. Overall, it's okay. I believe you can pre-order this right now. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on that. The next figure I want to take a look at is Runabout. So this is going to be a Wave 3 Earthrise figure, so it's going to come out later on in the year. I believe you could pre-order a lot of these figures right now, but this one was a fan vote figure. I'm not sure if I called it Runabout. I meant Runamuck if I did. But this was the fan vote figure that won, and I'm very happy about that because I've always wanted the Runamuck and Runabout as a retail release figure. We had that exclusive a while back, and that was hard to track down. It was a Wheeljack repaint. This one is its own mold, it seems. I could be wrong about that. It could be taking some stuff from Wheeljack, but it is mostly, I believe, its own mold. Taking a look at the car mode, I like the gold on here. It just seems like a very classic style car. You know, very generic, but I kind of like that. It is mostly white with transparent windows, and you can attach the gun on the top. I think that overall the design, again, is basic, but I think it works. And the robot mode looks really good. It is mostly white, but I kind of like that for it. You know, you do have a little bit of gold on the toes, but mostly that's, from the alt mode. You do have a little bit of gray here and there, but it's mostly for the hinges and the heels, so it's not much going on with that. I love the head sculpt. That looks awesome. The gun's alright. It does look like a very basic figure, but I'm into it. I really like it. I love the head sculpt. I think that this is a wonderful piece, and I'm very happy that this won the fan vote. Coming earlier in the year, because this is a Wave 2 figure, this is Alicon. Now, Alicon was also revealed previously, but we had additional images. We had an image of the alt mode. So this is supposed to work with the Quintessons. This is kind of like a different faction going on right now, which makes sense. I mean, these are clearly not Decepticons. But I think that this is pretty cool. So everyone knows the Sharkticons. This was kind of, mixed in with them. They're not as known as Nah, it seems, but these are technically a part of it. And I gotta say that this looks intimidating to me. I'm not huge on the arms, though. They're just attached to the sides there. I feel like if it was higher up, it would be fine. But overall, it's pretty cool. I can see that the spear attaches to the back, which is fine. And because the legs don't really incorporate to any of the modes, like they don't change up, you have a lot of articulation. So you have that ankle tilt, and it looks like it might also move forward and back, but I could be wrong about it. Overall, this beast mode looks really good. I love the teeth. I love the giant head. I think that looks nice. Taking a look at the robot mode, this looks like some sort of warrior guardian, and I really do like it. I love the head sculpt. It kind of reminds me of Nightbird in a way, just more fish-like with a fin on top. I love the spiky shoulders. That looks nice. The additional arms hanging off the sides. it's got a very basic transformation, it seems. I mean, it's pretty much in reverse. You do something with the head. The arms are kind of basic, but I think that overall it looks pretty good. The one thing I will complain about is that the arms, the beast mode arms, have hollow bits. So yeah, that's not going to look good in the robot mode, but if you don't care about that, or if you're getting this for the alt mode, I think that this is fine. I think no matter what you do, Alicon is going to look pretty good. The next figure I want to take a look at is Decepticon or Mercenary. I can't remember if this is one of the two, but this is Snapdragon. And we can see an alt mode image. You can see that it's also got the Titan Master figure that will pilot it. So again, with 8 Face, it's going to continue that gimmick, especially with the Scorponok coming out. So Titan's Return is still going on. Yay! But I will say that the alt mode looks pretty good. I like this a little bit more than the 8 Face. I love the shuttle front section and how that looks. I think that it looks more like a jet than the 8 Face did, which was pretty much a block with the Galvatron Titan's Returns jet canopy thing. I know it's not the exact same piece, but it looks like it. And then just little tiny wings off to the side. So I think that this has a much better presence compared to that. And I think overall it looks pretty good. The beast mode, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I get what they're going for. It's more like a Godzilla type thing. And you can see that the Titan Master gets used with the mouth because you can see the little teeth and the little feet underneath that. I think that's a nice touch. I do like the ball-jointed arms. And I think that, again, it's a lot better than that 8 Face figure. I do like the guns that attach to the back. I think that's pretty cool. But, yeah, probably not the highlight of the alt mode, but I get what they're going for, and I still like it. You know, I can't blame them for trying. And then the robot mode looks pretty good. I will say that the chest almost looks like it's meant to be a Combiner Wars figure. I know it's not, but I always see that with the chest like this. Anyways, the design looks fantastic. I'm hoping that it doesn't have that soapy white plastic, but I think that even if it does, it would be fine because it would go with that 8 Face figure. I want 8 Face so bad just because of this, because I think that this looks really good. I love the, you know, dual Decepticon logos on the side there, the dual cannons and everything going on with this guy. I think that, again, he looks better than 8 Face. He's done better than 8 Face. You know, he's not a perfect toy. He is still trying to incorporate 3 modes, and I don't think that's the best. But I think for what they're going for, it's alright. And then the next figure I want to talk about is Double Dealer. I have always wanted a Double Dealer like this. You know, we had that Generations original Blitzwing repaint, and it wasn't that great. I still like it, but it's not fantastic. I love the coloring of it. But this one is more traditional Double Dealer. It's got a whole bunch of weapons, so this is probably going to be one of those, oh, it's leader class, but it's going to be a small leader class figure. I don't imagine it's going to be like the Voyager-ish sized Shockwave figure, but I could be wrong about it. But taking a look at the alt mode, this looks pretty good. You know, it's got a lot of stuff going on for it, but it's got a lot of weapons, and it's got that giant rocket that looks amazing. Now, if you take a look at the booth images, you will notice that the chest is flipped around, and I think they did it on purpose, but it can rotate so it looks more appropriate, it looks more clean. You know, it doesn't look like it's got an empty box on the top. And I like the design, I love the coloring, especially at the front there. I love that little cockpit right there. And we also have another image where it's got more of a platform mode. You can see it connects to the other bases. And then it's got these little armatures that, you know, help it stand up. And then it's got the rocket that goes up. I think this looks pretty good. And then the bird mode, yes, it's not going to be the best mode, I will say that. It's got a bird with a rocket on the top. But this is something that the original toy did. And I will say it looks better than the original toy. But yeah, I can say that this is pretty stupid. But as a Transformer toy, you know, sometimes I kind of like when they go a little stupid, because at least they're going, you know, something different, you know, something a little wacky, but at least it's interesting to me. And I like the bird head. I think that's fine. Design-wise, it's pretty cool. It doesn't really flow with the rest of the body because it's got these boxy shapes to it, but I think that you know, it's okay. It had to be implemented, so I'm fine. The robot mode, I have a couple of concerns about. It does look like the body is wide, but there might be a reason for that. I just don't like the arms so much and how they articulate, but I think maybe in person it will look a lot better. But it's got in the upper arm this joint that sticks out forward, and I don't think that looks good. Other than that, I'm fine with it. You know, I like the rocket over the shoulders. You know, I like the guns that you could plug everywhere on this. And then, of course, he's got his own cannon that you could see. This massive cannon that might also separate in a couple of different parts. So that's pretty cool. You got a couple of Autobot symbols on this. He's technically a mercenary, an Autobot Decepticon. His faction is kind of weird, don't ask me about that. But the one thing that I'll bring up is originally he had these transformers that would attach onto the chest. And for this figure, he kind of does the same thing, except he takes inspiration from Soundwave. The cassette figures that originally went with this, that you're going to get in that selects box, I think can be added to this inside the chest. That is why it's hollowed out. That's why it's like a big rectangle. And I think that is a nice touch. I think that is an interesting idea and a good way to incorporate this figure with those, I think it was breastmaster whatever type things. I can't remember exactly what the line was. But you can still incorporate those little figures into this. So I think that's awesome. I really want Double Dealer because I've always wanted Double Dealer, so this is pretty cool. I'm not going to complain too much about it. And I'm just checking if that is all the Generations Earthrise stuff that we have to talk about. I believe that is. So, let's move on to the Netflix stuff. So I've talked about this in a previous video again. I'm just going to talk about mostly the alt modes and the robot modes. I'm just going to briefly touch on. But taking a look at Hound to start off with, I think that it looks pretty good. You got a lot more darker colors. You know, the rims have the scratched off paint. A lot of these Netflix series connected figures that are supposed to allow Siege to catch up with the current show, a lot of them have these scratch paint applications that I think looks pretty good. You know, you can see the color is being scraped away. They also have burn marks from being shot at, so it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if I need some of these, like Hound. I have my Hound. I have the original Generation Siege figure. I love that thing. That's what got me in love with Siege and the current Generation's toy line. So I might get it just to have it because I love that thing, but I don't necessarily need it. But the color scheme on this looks pretty good. And then in robot mode, I think that it looks pretty nice. I think that that gray really helps with that muted color of that kind of dark green. I think it blends pretty well, but there's no flair to it. I think it's because some of the paint applications on the lights and stuff have been removed, you know, to put the budget into those scratch marks. But I think overall, you know, it's fine. If you missed out on the original Hound, guess what? You can get this. The next figure I'll take a look at is Sideswipe, and in alt mode, this one has definitely been scratched up. And I kind of like that as a battle damage version of Sideswipe. Taking a look at this, you got the gray going around the sides, but essentially it is mostly the same figure that we've had previously. But I love this mold. I have pretty much every version of this mold, so I might get it just because of that. But that'd be kind of sad, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go out for that. Taking a look at the robot mode, essentially it's the same opinions that I've had previously, but you do have an HD image of it, so you can really take a look at the battle damage. I didn't even notice that some of that damage goes inside the leg too, so that's nice. They're covering the entire figure with that idea, and I think that's nice. You know, you get some consistent look to it, but again, I don't know if I need it. And then taking a look at Chromia, I think that the gray looks nice, especially when it's mostly at the bottom of the vehicle. I think that looks pretty good. I love the blue on this thing. I don't know why. It's just that maybe it's something to do with the canopy, but I think the contrast looks a lot better in these images, so I like that. The gun is also in different colors, so that's nice. But overall, you know, same thing. I'm not going to repeat myself too often. The robot mode looks pretty good. You got the scorch marks and everything, the scrape paint on the chest, on the arms, and on the legs. They even use it to touch up the feet, so that's nice. Overall, you know, it looks pretty good. I do like it. And then moving right along, we also have Scratface. So this is a new character. I don't know if these are necessarily going to be exactly tied to the show, or if they're just making this so that Siege can, you know, catch up with the show. I don't know. Maybe this character will be seen as, like, something in the background, as, like, something they had the model of Refractor. I'll just say Reflector, that's easier for me. But, maybe they just, you know, recolored it for the show, and then they just made a toy of that. But I think that the alt mode looks okay. I missed out on the original Reflector, so maybe I'll just get this, but who knows. I'm still looking at that Reflector and still considering getting it. But I think this is nice, especially if you've only been able to get one or two of the Reflectors and you still want to get the camera mode. Maybe you'll get this and another one. Who knows. But yeah, I think the colors are fine. It does have mostly gray, so it does kind of look a little too similar to that Reflector figure, but I think overall it's fine. And in robot mode, you get the scratch marks on the chest. I think that's nice. You also have these little red things on the head that I just constantly look at and think those are horns. But yeah, it's got a lot of that blue and that orangish red going throughout it. I think that overall, as an additional figure, you know, this isn't going to be significant for a lot of people's collection, but I kind of want it still. And then moving right along, we also have Decepticon Mirage. And again, I love this thing. I love the colors with it, the purple and gray. It's the same thing with the scratch marks, but I think this is a lot better because he is mostly gray anyways. So, taking a look at the alt mode, I love this thing. It is so dark and so Decepticon looking. It's powerful. I love it. And then taking a look at the robot mode, I've said this before, this could work as a Viacon if you want that. I love the logo on the chest right there. It's also got this kind of bluish gray to it, so it's like the original style of Mirage is kind of coming out of this. But I think overall it's nice. And I do think that this might be Mirage in disguise. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe it's the yellow eyes. But we'll just have to wait and see if it even appears on the show. Moving right along, we also have the Megatron 3-pack. So this is interesting because it's also got a couple of Battle Masters. Now, one of my complaints about the original Lionizer was that it wasn't in the original colors of orange and gray. For this pack, they decide to remedy that, and you're getting Lionizer in gray, orange and gray. This was the original toy in the Action Master toy line. And you're also getting Pinpointer, which could fit in with your crosshairs from the Siege toy line, so that's nice. Taking a look at the alt mode, I think that this looks alright. You know, you get that kind of darker metallic gray to Megatron that I think really fits. And the black looks nice, especially with the cannon and everything. I think it blends well with that dark gray. The weapons look pretty good. I'm starting to realize that maybe black for Lionizer was probably better because in weapon mode, there's just something about it that just, I don't know what it is. It looks a little odd, but I like the fact that we're getting Lionizer in the appropriate colors. And Pinpointer looks alright. You know, it's the basic Battlemaster, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I definitely want it to go with crosshairs. And in robot mode, it looks pretty good. I'm very torn whether or not I should get this, because this one definitely looks more closer to the Siege Netflix model because of the scratch marks. And I think that a lot of the paint applications and the darker gray looks a lot better, but I have that original Megatron, so I'm not sure if I need it, but I think the Battle Masters are really getting me attached to it, like really getting my attention. So we'll just have to wait and see. But the Megatron looks pretty good. And then we also have this set with Hotlink with two Battlемasters. Now the Battlemaster names I have to look up, but I did see that they were appropriately named. I don't know which one is which, so don't ask me, but it is Heatstroke and Heartburn. Appropriate names given the fact that I believe Hotlink was the one with the flamethrower, so I think that really works. And I've said this before, but the blast effects for the two Battlmasters don't have the ring section that the original Blowpipe figure had with its blast effects, so that's interesting. But in alt mode, I think that this looks pretty good. It is also a different pattern compared to the original Seekers, because they always had the same scratch marks, the same speckle paint. So you're getting something different out of this, and I do like that. And I love this mold. I have said that I want every version of that mold. I have so far every version of that mold up until Hotlink. When that comes out, I definitely want to get it. And I think the fact that it's got 2 Battlemasters in that blue color, which I believe the Flamethrower was in that color, that's awesome too. So I definitely want Hotlink. And taking a look at the robot mode, again, it looks really good. I love the orange. The transparent chest looks nice. I think the Battlemasters look pretty cool, especially when they got different colored eyes. I think that's awesome. But yeah, just overall, really nice. I like the style. I like what they're going for. Very cool. And another picture that I wanted to take a look at is the packaging for the Netflix figures. So most of these are in white, and I think that looks really good. I don't know why. There's something about it that really pops and really looks nice. So I love this. I love the packagings. I definitely want Hotlink. I definitely want Decepticon Mirage. I kind of want that scrap face. But I'm not sure if I'm going to get every single figure of this, but I do want them. And then, last but not least, we've got Studio Series. So the first one we've got is Movie Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave. And the reason why I want to go over this first is because this is a figure that we've already seen previously, technically. Taking a look at his alt mode, it's not that good. I think that at the booth images, it looked a little better, but I'm starting to notice that the legs just fold up to the back, and it doesn't look that good. I think in person it will look a lot better. There's just something about these images that really don't interest me. I do like the fact that it looks like it's got a different head sculpt. I think that's appropriate. I do like the fins and the wings coming off, and I do like the fact that it comes with a stand this time around. I think that's needed. But yeah, it's just something about it that doesn't really look right to me. And I think it's the bland colors to it. Taking a look at the robot mode, it looks more like one of the Knights of Iacon or whatever from Transformers The Last Knight. I don't know, there's something about it that kind of blends with them. But I do like the chest. I think it's highly detailed, but I think when you take a look at the rest of the figure, it doesn't really flow with that. And I think the reason why is because I just keep, like, my brain keeps thinking, oh, this is The Last Knight, one of the Knights. Oh, no, this is Soundwave. It just keeps going back and forth with that. I don't know, there's just something about it that just doesn't please me as much as I thought it would. I still might get it because I like Soundwave, but I don't know. And it looks like it has similar parts to the original Dark of the Moon Soundwave. Anyways, moving right along, we also have Dark of the Moon Top Spin. Top Spin, yes! I'm so glad we're getting another Wrecker. Hopefully we get a Leadfoot soon, because that would be awesome. Anyways, taking a look at the alt mode, it is the weaponized version of Top Spin, and I think that is obviously appropriate. It doesn't have every single paint application that the original one did. You know, it doesn't have as much as as much of that white that was seen in the original toy and the original design, but I think that's fair considering that it's still got a lot going for it. I do like the guns that you can plug all over the place, and yeah, this definitely screams Dark of the Moon Wrecker, and I'm glad that we're getting a Top Spin to go with that Roadbuster. They gotta do a Leadfoot, I think. Taking a look at its robot mode, it's kind of cool, but I think that the arms need a little bit more coloring to it, but I think overall its mold is fantastic. I love what they're doing with those kibbly pieces on the side. Apparently you can take the claws or the clamps and you can attach it to it so it's like he's got 4 arms this time around. So you do have options with it. You also got the guns that you can attach to the arms. And I think that the design looks nice. I like what they're doing with the legs. I do like the head sculpt. I think that looks pretty good. Overall, I think that there's some things that the Dark of the Moon original toy did better than this, but this looks pretty good still. Taking a look at the next figure, we've got Deluxe Class Cliff Jumper. Now, I said previously I would assume that the Cliff Jumper that they're doing is just going to be a remold of that original Bumblebee in the Jeep form and just made as a toy, you know? They haven't been exactly the most accurate when it comes to a lot of these figures. Take, for example, the KSI Boss transforming into a jet That's not really what happened in the film, but whatever. But they went all out, and they gave us the Cybertronian mode of Cliffjumper, and all I'm thinking right now is, what's the point of getting that War for Cybertron Cliffjumper, the original video game War for Cybertron Cliffjumper, when you've got this? It looks really good. I love the design of it. I love the shape of it. Hopefully we can also get a Bumblebee, as much as I don't like seeing Bumblebee in Studio Series, because, sorry about that, my camera decided, hey, let's stop. Anyways, I think that this one would be cool to see repainted into Bumblebee, as much as I don't want to see Bumblebee again in the Studio Series, because there's so much of it. I think that this would work. I like the coloring of it. It is kind of basic because you have all these details in here that doesn't really feel like it's painted in, but I think overall it really works. And then taking a look at the robot mode, technically I don't think I was wrong about the remold, because I think that some of the parts are the same that comes from that Jeep form of Bumblebee. It even comes with a similar cannon. And I love the head sculpt on this Cliffjumper. I will also point out that I've always wanted Cliffjumper in the show, so I'm kind of glad that we're getting that. The design, the detail looks great. I love what they're doing with the feet. I know that's a weird thing to say, but there's something about the feet that got my attention. And I like the chest, I like the design, I like the detail. Overall, yes, it's got some kibble on the back, but I think they're doing a pretty good job with this Cliffjumper. And again, I don't mind seeing it in yellow. Moving right along, we also have Skipjack. So if you want, if you want an alternate leg to the Devastator, if you want it in the more accurate colors, this is the one to get, because this is a yellow version of that Rampage. Taking a look at the alt mode, it's a yellow version of that Rampage. I don't know what else to say. You know, I like Rampage. If you want to see my review, I've already talked about this mold, so there's not much to say. In robot mode, I think this looks really good in yellow. I don't know why, it just really screams at me. But again, I've talked about Rampage before, it's just a yellow version of that. I do like the option, and I do want to get it to continue adding Constructicons to my collection, because I think they're pretty cool. But other than that, my opinions on Rampage is similar to this. Taking a look at Scrapper, so this is another piece that will combine to Devastator. We have talked about this previously, but we have not gotten these high definition images. I think that this looks pretty good. You can see some kibble at the front there, but I think overall it works. I like the detail work. I think the canopy should be a little bit bigger than that, a little bit taller, but that's just a personal thing. I'm not sure if that's necessarily accurate. I think that overall looks very good. The robot mode looks very nice as well. I love that claw clamp thing at the front, and then he's also got that wrecking ball thing on the other arm. I think that this is nice because I've always wanted a Scrapper toy in Revenge of the Fallen, and they dropped out on it. They never made it up until now. And I think that this thing looks pretty good, especially continuing off from the Devastator. Moving right along, I'm actually going to take a look at the Leader Class figure. This is Overload. I constantly want to say Overlord, but this is Overload, and my opinions really haven't changed. You do have that barrel thing on the back that I'm hoping is detachable, because it's just so obnoxiously there. But otherwise, I think that the alt mode looks very nice. It's very long, too. We've seen images of this thing with all the other Constructicons, and that looks nice. Taking a look at the robot mode, you know, got the claws and everything going on right there. I know some people wanted the 4 legs, but I think that this is fine. And again, my opinions really haven't changed. I still do like it, and I still want it to finish off that Devastator. Moving right along, we also have Sentinel Prime, so we're going to take a look at his alt mode. I think that his alt mode looks very good, so close to that original fire truck. I think that there's some details in here that could have been picked out in paint, but I think overall it really works. I got that Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime recently. I really want to get the Sentinel Prime. You got that R on the side, you got the 316, you got the hose on the top, which I believe is going to be movable. If not, that's kind of weird. Overall, a wonderful looking fire truck, and I do like this alt mode. Taking a look at the robot mode, now a lot of people are speculating that this is not going to come with the shield. And it looks like, yeah, it's probably not going to come with the shield, which is kind of weird. But you have to remember that the Optimus Prime, the Dark of the Moon version, did come with the shield very similar to that of Sentinel Prime's, so you could probably use that. You might not be able to detach it as a sidearm piece, but maybe you can have him hold it at the very least. He's got arm articulation, so maybe there's something you can do with that. It is unfortunate that he doesn't come with it himself, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a third-party add-on kit for Sentinel Prime anyways. I'm pretty sure someone's making that already. So don't be too concerned about it. Yes, it should have come with the figure, but at least he comes with the double blades, and that looks pretty good. The detail work, the sculpting looks very nice. It looks appropriate. It does look like Sentinel Prime this time around. I love what they're doing with the head, the chest, and everything going on right now. We have seen this previously, but I think the coloring is nice. It looks a lot better than that Voyager one. The coloring on that was just very weird. Even the Takara figure just didn't really look right. The leader one is pretty cool, but I feel like that's too tall for the modern class nowadays, so I feel like this is pretty cool. And I'm starting to notice that some transformation features seem to be similar to that of the leader class figure, like the backpack. I could be wrong about that, but it still looks pretty good. And then last but not least for these reveals is Blitzwing. And yes, we are getting this character, you know, to work with the current Bumblebee movie toy line, mainline toys, and the alt mode. I'm not sure how I feel about some of the pieces on this, like that gray that's at the back of the canopy right there, that kind of splits it off. It just looks like it's wearing a collar or something. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. But otherwise, I think that the jet mode looks very good. It's a little kibbly at the bottom, but it's a jet transformer. We're kind of used to that. I think for the most part, it's actually kind of clean. So I really do like the jet. I think it looks fantastic. And the robot mode looks pretty good. Now, the one thing I will say is that the gray looks a little odd to me, especially when you look at it in the booth. I just feel like it's a little too dull and a little too plain, but I guess that kind of works considering if you rewatch Blitzwing in the film, he kind of looked like that, I guess. So, you know, I'm not going to complain too much. He does come with that big gun, so that's nice, and I think overall this design is good. However, I will bring up, we should get this as one of the Seekers. I would love to see this as even thrust in green, because apparently the green one that was a cone head or something was apparently thrust. I'm not sure. That's what someone said. Someone's telling me that. But either way, I could see repaint potential out of this as maybe a few of the Seekers, not every single one, but at least some. Maybe give it a different head so it looks a little different compared to Starscream, and actually remold this as a Tetrajet. I'm not sure if they could do that with this mold, but I mean, look at the Cliff Jumper and what they did with that. So overall, Blitzwing looks pretty good. I want this thing, especially to go up with that Jeep Bumblebee. Very nice. I like it. So overall, that's my opinion on everything going on with the Toy Fair. A lot of stuff. A lot of other things that were revealed, like the Scorponok RC and whatnot. I've already talked about that in the previous video, so you could go back to that. This was just about the brand new reveals, and I am really into a lot of these. Some of these I could also point out and say I don't necessarily need it, like some of the Netflix toys. I don't think I need the Sideswipe and the Hound, but I can't say anything looks bad. I'm into mostly everything going on right now. I think the worst is probably the Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave, but other than that, you know, I can't say anything is necessarily too bad. I do like that Blitzwing. I really want that. The RC from Cyberverse looks pretty good. The Runamuck looks nice. Oh, you know what? We did forget something. The Quintesson! I completely forgot about the Quintesson. We should talk about that. Okay, alt mode for the Quintesson is... actually, I don't... No, this isn't the alt mode. This is the robot mode, of course. That makes a lot more sense. What are you thinking? Anyways, the robot mode, let's start off with that. Looks pretty good. You know, you got the 5 faces that you can turn around. That's very nice. Articulated tentacle things. And you also have this little blast effect that comes underneath to hold up the figure. I do also like how that base piece also folds up into a chair, and you can still connect that with the bases so you can have figures go up and be judged by the Quintesson judge. I think that overall this is nice. The different faces are pretty cool. I'm not sure if it completely turns around, but yeah, very nice. And then the alt mode is dumb. It's like some sort of base spaceship thing. I don't care for it. It's got the cage which you could put a Micromaster in. I think that's awesome. And that chair also splits up to form more of a base, so that's something. But it just looks like some sort of water tower something, and I don't like it. It's also apparently probably got some parts forming to it, because you can see the blast effect is what's holding up that dome at the top there. So overall, don't really care so much for it. You can attach this to that chair base thing, so I guess you can play around with the base Transformers and whatnot, even just with this pack. Overall, again, don't really care about the alt mode. It's the robot mode, and the robot mode really works for me, so I like it. With that out of the way, that is pretty much it. So, oh, another one I forgot to talk about. The Netflix spoiler box. Duh! Thank God I didn't stop recording. The Netflix spoiler box apparently has Ultra Magnus. You could also see it at the side of the packaging at the back picture, the back image. And I'm not sure what I think about this, but you can see all these purple bits leaking out. So maybe Ultra Magnus has been infected with Dark Energon. Maybe they're going to tie something with that. I don't know if it even is Dark Energon. It's just kind of weird that it's all this transparent purple. Maybe it has something to do with the Decepticons, because in the trailer, Ultra Magnus is approaching a lot of the Decepticons. Maybe it comes with that cowl thing that Ultra Magnus had. I don't know, but it's described as a leader class package, and with the Megatron and the Hotlink, they are considered Voyagers even though they've got additional stuff. So I wonder if this is going to be leader class Ultra Magnus with extra things going on. We'll just have to wait and see. I missed out on the original Ultra Magnus, so I might get this. I'm interested to see what's going on with the spoiler box. I think that's pretty cool to kind of promote the Netflix series. I think that's awesome, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's a decent looking package, but there's not much else I could say about it. It's all just speculation. So with that out of the way, that is pretty much it. I thank you guys for watching. What is your favorites? Please comment below. Let me know. Like, comment, share, subscribe to all those fun doodads, and I will see you guys next time.